Hey, what's up everyone, TJ here. In this video, I'm gonna highlight my top 5 powder snowboard picks for the 2019-2020 season. All right guys, so all powder focused snowboards are gonna have a few traits in common tech-wise to help give them good float. And the 3 main ones are gonna be a directional shape. They're gonna have a longer nose and a shorter tail. They're also gonna have a taper, so the tail is gonna be narrower than the nose of the snowboard, as well as a setback stance. So if you look at the snowboard within the contact points, those binding holes, the inserts, are gonna be closer to the tail than the nose. Those 3 things are gonna work together and make the biggest difference to keep the board on top of the powder and make it so that you can ride with your weight centered and still keep that nose on top of the snow so you're not burning your back leg, which is one of the biggest advantages of having a powder specific snowboard. And the first snowboard I want to highlight is the Jones Storm Chaser. It's probably the most directional board on this list, and it's one of those boards that has a very short stubby tail behind the back foot there, and because of that you're going to want to size down on this board. So for some perspective, I normally ride around a 154 for twin style snowboards, and I got a 147 on the Storm Chaser. It's got a really wide shovel style nose and a bit of a cutout in the tail to even further that directionality. It's got Jones spoon tech in the nose and tail, which is just what it sounds like, and I found that gives a board a nice smooth surfy feel when you're making turns in the powder, as well as a surf rocker profile. So it's a full reverse camber snowboard, but it's got a little bit more rocker in the nose than it does in the tail, and it's also got some added contact points going down the edge, so if you do find some ice in between powder stashes, that's going to help give you a bit more grip. The Storm Chaser is going to give you great flow even on the deepest days. It's also a really quick turning snowboard, so it's a lot of fun for swiveling through trees or just kicking up snow anytime that you want. But it's not the best board for doing powder drops in my experience, or riding outside of the powder in general. It just doesn't have that much stability with that really short tail. All right, the next board is the BATALEON Surfer. This one's very unique, and the 3 things I want to highlight is the fact that it runs a full positive camber profile for stability. It's also got BATALEON's powder triple base technology, which is most noticeable in the nose. If you look at it, you can see that the base and edge are uplifted, and that kind of positions the board in the snow to help give it even more float. And it's also got a crazy swallowtail going on, so a huge cutout in the tail. That's also going to help the board float, but the cool thing about this, I think, is that the rear contact point goes all the way pretty much to the very end of the tail there. So when you are on hard pack, you've got a little bit more board to work with for carving. But overall, when I think of the Surfer, I think of unsinkable float and quick snappy turns. It's going to be a really high performing powder snowboard, and it's also pretty much one of a kind. So if you're looking for something like that, check out the BATALEON Surfer. Next up is the DC HR snowboard. This is another one you can downsize on and still get great float. It's also fairly wide and has a bit more of a traditional shape. So you've got some tail to work with. That's going to help you out on drops and higher impact situations, or cruising through some chopped up powder in between zones, and just generally makes the board a bit more versatile. It also has a very tight side cut, so it's a very quick turning snowboard, a lot of fun for swiveling through trees. And I also found the HR was very soft, definitely softer than advertised, which is nice in the nose. It can help keep that planing above the powder rather than pushing into it, but it does make the board a lot less stable. So keep that in mind, but overall this is a great board for deep powder conditions. It's going to do well on drops. It's fun for swiveling through trees and making those quick turns, and definitely a board worth considering. The GENTEMSTICK XY is another board I want to highlight for you guys. One of my favorites from the whole season of reviews last year, and it's a one-of-a-kind snowboard made in Japan. Not only is it going to do great in powder, but it's also a really fun carving snowboard. So this one's going to have a shifted camber profile, which is positive camber from the front foot going all the way out to the tail with rocker in the nose, giving it great stability and still allowing that nose to pop up in the deep snow. It's wider than your average snowboard and has a flex on the stiffer side of medium. So when it comes to riding powder, you really can do anything with the XY. Go as fast as you want, hit the biggest drops, take it in the deepest snow, and you're gonna get great float and performance out of the GENTEMSTICK XY. But the highlight with the XY is that it's gonna give you that great float that you need in a powder snowboard while still offering good stability and making a good choice for freeride and carving. Some good versatility with this one. And I encourage you guys to check out the rest of the boards on GENTEMSTICK's line as well if you find the XY is a bit too big or too small for you. This list wouldn't be complete without highlighting the LibTech Orca, one of the most popular powder boards out there right now, and I think it really does live up to the hype. So some of the unique things about the Orca is that it's a volume shifted board. You can downsize on it for better maneuverability. It's nice and wide, which is going to help with float and also makes this board more fun outside of the powder if you're trying to do some carving or free riding with it. It runs LibTech's XC2 camber profile, which is a rocker dominant shape. That's going to help overall with float and making quick turns, but it does have camber zones placed right under your feet. With the camber under your back foot being even more aggressive, that's going to help with stability for drops or really any situation where you're relying on that snowboard for support. And overall, the Orca is one of those boards that gives you that unsinkable feeling in the powder. You can really charge it, go as fast as you want confidently, hit the big drops and not be worried about the sketchier terrain. It's gonna stand strong through that type of stuff. And it's gonna do just fine out of the powder or with more exploratory riding in between zones. It does have LibTech's magnet traction, so that's that wavy serrated edge that really gives the board tons of grip if you're in more variable snow. It's a great powder snowboard. Definitely don't be scared to take it in the deepest snow you can find. And it's really just one of the most unique and most functional boards out right now in this category. Alright, so these are my top 5 powder board picks for the 2020 season. I'm sure one of these boards will meet your needs perfectly, so make sure to go check them out. I'll have them all linked down in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a like. I really appreciate it, guys. It helps out a lot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a new video soon. Later, guys.